I guess it could have been even worse if I answered the real phone and the bird was talking through the phone.
Well, we do talk a lot about the animal-human bond, and we often think it's about what we get from our bonds with animals, but surely they're getting something from the bond too, and I'm sorry about the separation. That your caller that Carol is having right now, it sounds like it must be it must be a difficult time.
I have friends that feed animals in the wild, like raccoons. They'll put food out there for them. Can they overfeed them, or will they stop?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, every case is different, and every animal is different, but yeah, I mean, there is a risk when food comes too easily and, again, too abundantly that, yeah, animals will overconsume and will gain weight, and it can be dangerous for an animal. A bird who needs to fly away from predators can gain too much weight and actually be at peril from predation. So, yeah, I think it's probably the best diet for wild animals is what they have in the wild, and, just to respond to the question before, in nature, there are going to be periods of scarcity. So while there might be periods of abundance, it's going to be the opposite. And we don't typically have the opposite in our lives. One point I want to make about the woman who just called is that, when we started this project, I personally didn't realize the depth of the emotional lives of animals. When I was in school, I was taught, don't anthropomorphize. That's not very scientific. But through this entire journey, I realized that, that's not as much of a problem as I think the greater problem is not appreciating our deep animal nature. And so that's where we landed.
All right, let's take a few more calls here. We'll go to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Kevin's turn. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, George, long-time listener, first-time caller. Good to have you with us. Barbara, I find your topic very intriguing. When I grew up in northwest Miami-Dade, just south of where the Dolphins play at their stadium, Sun Life Stadium. And we had a little mutt. He was a Mexican Airlines Chihuahua and a toy terrier. And he was very unique. He never ever ate. He always stayed around 12 to 14 pounds. And he seemed to be psychic sometimes. I'd be, a little depressed or down about something. He'd be in another room, and he'd come in my room and jump up on the bed and lay down next to me. And it was just like out of the blue. Not that I was crying or moaning or anything. I was just like, moping, and he'd come in and just to be there. And sometimes I'd go out exploring where they built the stadium where we grew up. We used to call that whole area, it's like 800 acres with, fresh land and stuff like that. And we used to call it the Ponderosa. And sometimes I'd go out with him. He wasn't on a leash, and we'd be out on the trails that were, had worked through there with the dirt bikes and all that. And he never strayed too far ahead of me where he couldn't see me. And he'd be like up ahead, and I'd see him turn around and look and, make sure he could see me. But he never strayed away, and I always wondered if that was for his benefit or my benefit.
There have been studies that have looked at empathy, and the some doctors respond to time in humans, even strangers. A stranger human each time. So there definitely is empathy. And the fact of veterinarians who even notice breed differences in how empathic different dogs are.
All right, let's take Gene in St. Louis, Missouri. Hey, Gene, go ahead. Good to have you with us.
Hi, George. How are you?
Good. Thanks.
Hi to the ladies also.
Hello.
Hi. I am very excited about your book. I've already ordered 2 copies from Amazon, one for myself and one for my veterinarian.
Good.
I used to work for my veterinarian until he moved his office over into Illinois. And I actually still go to him. It's 25 miles one way. But I think it's worth it because I know him and I trust him. And so I usually give him Christmas and birthday presents. So this year it's going to be something really good for his birthday. Yes, it's going to be your book. Yes.
Well, thank you.
And I'd also like to say that I agree with a lot that I've heard from you ladies so far tonight. We had a lot of training at the veterinarian's practice. They would close down 1 day a week for office training for receptionists and technicians and everything like that. So we got to learn quite a bit about animal animal medicine and how it is comparatively to human ailments. And we learned a lot about zoonotic diseases, which are transferable from animals to humans and humans to animals. And things like colds or the flu, just things like that. And I really, really enjoyed it, and the only reason I left was because of my health.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting, and just the idea that, like we were saying, it's not just the veterinarians, it's not just the physicians, it's the people who are working with physicians and veterinarians and patients, and so that these our health and animal health is intertwined across all those divides. But then also the idea that the idea of zoonoses is really important, and that is definitely a connection that we can make across these two branches of medicine.
Barbara, why the special bond between animal and man, woman?
Right. Oh, there's so many great answers to that question. I mean, ultimately the bond that we share with all animals is our evolutionary connectedness, and there